Bye.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Trio Media's digital marketing podcast, running Riot. Today we have a new guest. So I think everyone in the office has been on the podcast, and some people have been repeated guests. And we even had Claire the other week come in. But today we have Ben, and he's a new starter. So you've only been here a week. Well, a week yesterday, wasn't it? Well,
yeah, 1 week.
yeah, it didn't count because yesterday was a public holiday, but a week. And we thought this would be a good opportunity to throw him in the deep end. He's already done a 3 and 3, which will be out when you're listening to this. So go check that out. But yeah, we thought we would just check him in and go, right, you're doing a podcast, and we've just made up a topic together minutes before this. So basically what we're going to chat about today is how you got into marketing, how you found out about Trio Media, what your first week's been like, and then also a little bit about you. So we'll start with that, an intro into who you are, and then we'll segue into making it a bit more marketing appropriate.
Okay, right. Well, I don't even know where to begin, really.
The year you were born.
Yeah, no, let's not go that far back. I don't want to bore too many people. No, so yeah, I'm a Yorkshire boy.
Yeah.
Born and bred, I guess you could say that. And yeah, like in my free time, I guess I surf.
Just
a lot.
A little bit. He's only been here a week and he's changed his working hours to accommodate surfing.
Yeah, so
it's a high priority.
Yeah, the first priority on my list. Change
Definitely.
the hours from 8 till 4 so I can go surfing
Exactly.
after work. Because as you can probably imagine, in Leeds, like, where's the closest
Scarborough.
federation?
Yeah.
Scarborough.
Scar.
Scarbados, as we like to call
No,
it.
it's not.
Yeah,
That's
it
what you
is.
nicknamed it.
Yeah, Scarbados.
That's not going to catch on in this office.
Oh, it did,
Scarborough's
in my last office.
Gives me the ick.
Really?
It makes me think of seaweed and pebbles.
No carbs before scarbs.
Oh,
Oh,
no. Oh my
no.
gosh, you've got more than one.
Oh, absolutely. No,
Anyway, you're a mad surfer.
Yeah, no, I love surfing, outdoors, and I guess sort of my background is obviously I did business management at uni.
Right.
I went to a polytechnic. I went to Oxford Brookes.
Where
If anyone
are all
asks,
of
I say I went to uni in Oxford.
Oh, right, and then they think you went
classic.
to Oxford.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's how it works. No, I went to Oxford Brookes. I did business management, and I very bog standard course really.
Is that because you didn't know what you wanted to do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, truth to, I think my mum picked that course.
You're
but,
just like, oh, we'll give it a go.
But no one needs to know about that.
Well,
apart from,
I'll
I
tend
know,
this as
yeah.
well.
So I did business management. I picked loads of like marketing modules. I did a year out, like a year in placement,
Yeah.
which is what Jess is doing
Yeah,
here.
that's exactly it.
Yeah, I was speaking to her about it. So
Where did you do that?
I did it at a surf retailer, a surf and
Shock.
outdoor fashion retailer, and that's where I learned about marketing.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Blessing
I
in
learned
disguise.
more in that year of placement than I did 3 years at university.
That's exactly what Jess has said. It's mad
Yeah.
that is what's coming out of all of this.
Well, I mean, the learning curve is very steep. I know some people would rather learn from reading books, but
Yeah.
I guess
Or get their studies just done and out the way. Some people don't want to break.
yeah, that's it. And I just learn by doing.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like I don't really like, I don't know, uni. I had like 8 hours of lectures a week.
Oh.
I mean, how much am I really gonna learn and do? Like, but it was a great experience all in all. I mean, the year out, I worked for this surf and like skate fashion, outdoor fashion retailer.
Yeah.
And the learning curve was pretty steep. So that was sort of, I mean, that was ages ago. You know, I'm coming
Makes
on
you
30
feel old.
now.
Yeah, you're
it
30
does.
this
Yeah, I
year.
know. Looking at things like TweetDeck.
Oh my god. When they were talking about, what were we talking about in 3 and 3? Oh, iMovie.
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
iMovie.
That was
You still
definitely
use
my
that?
go-to
Yeah.
movie editor when I was
Oh, shocking.
there. The thing is that Jess is 21. That is the age that we were doing that.
Oh, yeah.
So
And the website was like an all HTML coded, custom built site. It was
it would have been built like this big as well. Like even on
Yeah.
desktop would have just been like a teeny tiny.
Not mobile. Like I don't think it was mobiles, but oh god, I'm old.
Okay, they were definitely mobiles.
I can't.
then.
I'm struggling
Mobile
to think.
optimization wasn't
Yeah.
there.
But I did a lot of sort of blog writing, editing
Okay.
products of that, and doing genuinely. That was when I got to grips with that SEO, but also
Right.
did a lot of helping to host events. We ran a surf contest. That
Yeah.
was honestly a lot of fun. And then went back to uni, finished my year at uni, and then decided to go to Australia.
Yeah.
I just left the country, basically.
As you do.
Well, my logic was thinking, I finished uni. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to keep going, like go into marketing,
Yeah.
but it's something I was quite passionate about.
Yeah.
And obviously passionate about surfing. There's not too many surf industry jobs kicking around in the UK, or there wasn't back then. But in Australia, there's heaps.
Yeah.
So finished uni, decided to go. So packed my bags, off I went, did some travelling, went surfing in Indonesia for 2 months, and then went to Australia.
Yeah. And what'd you do there?
Oh, good question. Not marketing. for the first 6 months, I think I bummed around in Byron Bay and was a surf instructor.
Yeah.
Staying in a hostel in a room with like
The rough
12
life.
other people while my mates
Oh,
were getting jobs in
no.
London. So, but no, yeah, the rough life, the backpacker life. But then I was quite fortunate enough to get a job at a surf camp down near Sydney, and started as an instructor.
Yeah.
And I guess it's one of those things that I got really lucky.
Yeah.
I really got to know the person who's running the marketing for that surf camp. and
Okay.
it was sort of semi-associated with Rip Curl.
Right. Amazing.
So we had like an office in like the Rip Curl store in Sydney.
Sick.
And
yeah.
he said to me, he was like, mate, I'm leaving the job. And he was also British, but he'd been there 5 years and got his PR. Do you want to take the marketing job for the surf camp? Move to Sydney, and he'll like Guy, who was the owner, will sponsor you to stay. I was like, that's the dream.
That's literally the dream.
Yeah, that is the dream.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. So yeah, basically what happened was I took that job. So I did the marketing there, and that was very different. I mean, it was a WordPress site. Lots of SEO, lots of social media marketing.
Yeah.
You know, that company, we were lucky enough to have loads and loads. It was very content based.
Yeah.
All the lessons, we were taking like 200 people down every week.
Jeepers.
So 100 people Monday to Friday, 100 people Friday to Sunday. All these people had photos, videos.
People would have been fighting for ranking for that in Sydney as well, like surf lessons, surf camps.
Oh,
They
yeah.
would have had to do a lot of work to be able to actually compete.
Yes. So and we had all the content obviously that we needed, because the instructors were taking pictures of GoPros all the time. So it was the dream. It was actually the dream. And I did that for 5 years. Not just the marketing. I actually ended up doing a lot of the sales as well.
Okay.
Which is the account manager with all the travel agencies.
Yeah.
So worked a lot with Tourism Australia.
Okay.
And yeah,
You got a taste for two aspects of marketing then.
Oh, basically, yeah. I mean, to be honest, the role towards the end was mostly sales.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back into the marketing side of things. But yeah, like I said, I did that for 5 years, and then
You came back home?
well, this is the story.
Okay.
This is another thing where everything kind of happens for a reason. It
Yeah.
falls into my lap. I left Australia in February 2020 to go traveling, which was like the best time in the world to go traveling.
Of course,
Yeah.
COVID. Love
Yeah.
that.
So it was meant to move to Canada to go. My aim was, I did 5 or 6 years in surfing. I want to go to Canada and go work in skiing. Yeah, or
Right.
outdoor tourism. Like, not so much backpackers, which is what I was working with before, but maybe a more mature group that stay in the outdoor travel industry. And I was meant to travel for 6 or 7 months. So
COVID smashed
I didn't get very far.
Doesn't sound like it.
No, I got to like New Zealand, so literally
so
just
you
one
really
stop.
didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, no, so basically from Australia.
It's in Northern Australia, basically. And New Zealanders hate it when we call it that, but yeah.
So basically, ended up in New Zealand and then had to come back. So I came back in April 2020.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's been it. So you've been in marketing for the past year and a bit, 2 years, basically.
Yeah, well, what happened was, and what made me change sort of my whole aspect of what I wanted to do was, through the pandemic, I got my old job that I did on placement back. So sort of 6, 7, must be 7 years later.
Jeepers,
Old
you
boss
must have
contacted me.
done really well, yeah.
I think he was just desperate for staff. I don't know. Yeah, I did
And he was
really
like,
well.
"Oh,
I
this
did
is-
really well.
yeah.
Really good at my job.
Just compliment yourself.
Yeah. No, he got in touch, so I ended up doing the web marketing for him again
Okay.
for a year, and then in between that, I set up a vintage clothing business.
You did.
And did all the content and all
You
the
can do a
marketing from
shameless
that.
plug. You can put yourself at Instagram if you want.
It's closed. It's done.
It's done.
It's not done. We still got loads of clothes left.
Oh, I was gonna say because you were gonna come bring them to us and then.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will do that.
Right. So
I'll
you
do
did that, and now it's completely over, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But through that project, it was a test to see. I built the website from scratch.
Yeah.
So I built the Shopify site from scratch. We did all of the photography and the content ourselves, the social media page. We connected the Instagram to Shopify, and we made an actual pretty good run at it.
Project.
Yeah. So 4 days a week I was working through the pandemic with the surf retailer, doing a lot of the web management and working really closely with loads of outdoor fashion brands because Patagonia was one of them. It was on the boom, and lots of surfing and that sort of thing. And then 3 days a week I was doing the vintage business with my sister's boyfriend.
Side
hustle, but making a lot of money and learning a lot about fashion and about sustainability, obviously, and it is a real eye-opener what people throw away, but also an eye-opener in the sense of how much money you can make doing
your own thing
and selling across multiple channels.
The power of marketing when you're an entrepreneur is like you can't miss it, whereas I feel like you can get lost if you're not doing that aspect of a company and you're only doing a little bit of it. You don't really see the power of it compared to when you're like your own boss. Exactly,
and you're actually doing it. And it goes to show as well, like when we first started the vintage business, we were using like no external lights. We were just with our phones on like a brick wall, and it looked awful. And we were like, why is our Instagram just like it's all just not our mates liking this stuff? But then we sort of, through the year and a half that we were doing it, we bought studio lights, we bought clothing rails, we bought backdrops.
But was that with money that you were like just reinvesting constantly into the business?
Yes, so
you needed to do the crappy work to see the benefits of it.
Yeah, we had sort of a minimum at the start of like what we wanted to put in, and then we'd reinvest that money into making it better. But it was amazing once we got the studio lights, what a difference it actually made.
The content you were creating was getting engagement.
Oh, so much better. And then we followed other vintage stores and see how they were doing it. And then we could come up with our own ideas with social media, how to gain traction. I think one of the best things we did, or one of the funnest things we did, was we made a story that every week I'd go and find loads of clothing labels or pull some offline and do a reel or no reel. So like a poll.
I love that.
Did a little Photoshop of Noel Edmonds.
And people were genuinely voting and getting engaged.
People voting. And we'd find like some of the horrific, and then other vintage stores were actually sending us pictures of their labels.
What?
Yeah, and then people who owned other vintage stores would message in, and we got really high engagement with that.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that was quite a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you learned a lot about how to do everything without having to stress about someone like watching you or being a boss, because you need to figure it out for yourself, I guess.
Yes.
You were your own like worst critic and probably best friend at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a firm believer that I learn more by doing rather than actually just sitting there which I guess is probably why university was a bit of a struggle for me. And that was like the biggest learning curve, was doing the vintage store.
It's amazing. So you're now obviously working for Trio. We do everything: SEO, PPC, social, all the things. What are you the most excited to learn that you don't know a lot about? And then what are you most excited to kind of put your ideas in? Because already I've just shown Ben the podcasting schedule, and he's like, oh my gosh, I have these ideas. And like, obviously there's going to be so many aspects of what we do that you're going to want to not only give your ideas for, but also new things that you might have. Like new ideas that you might have for things that we could try, because you're new blood, which is the whole idea of recruiting. We have all been doing podcasts and 3 and 3 for so long. We need like all these new ideas. So what are you excited to give you ideas for, and what are you excited to learn more about?
So I'll start with the learning.
Yeah.
Bit of a nerd in this sense that I quite like the techie stuff.
Yeah, the data. You're like
Darren,
data.
Darren was showing me some of the stuff. He kind of strikes me as a bit of a data nerd.
He is
as well,
very much a data nerd. Yes.
But I do really like working with data and then pulling the data to create a story.
Okay.
Because I think it's got this misconception that you have to be sort of very maths focused or numerical to work with data. I just don't think that's the case at all. I think you can look at data and you can pull out a story from that data,
I love
be
that.
it a PR piece or just understanding what consumers are looking for on your website.
Yeah.
So I do really like that, and using programs like SEMrush.
Yeah.
Learning more about that. Also Google Ads and obviously Google Shopping.
Yeah. I think that's that's changing all the time as well.
In my past jobs, you see, before I did the vintage business and while I was working on that, because I was working in-house, I'd come up with the ideas and then just pass it on to someone else.
Yeah, you never got to like kind of enjoy the process, did you?
No.
You had to like throw it away and be like, bye.
Exactly. I know some people would be like, oh, what's to enjoy about like reading data? But I actually really enjoy it.
But especially when it's your idea, because you want to see it come to life and you want to be a part of that process, which I guess you can now. So that's probably going to be exciting for you as well.
Exactly. It's to see the whole process all the way through.
100%.
Yeah.
And then as far as like new ideas and things, do you think that's going to be in like the podcasting video side of things, or do you think it's going to be more in like the PR or like the SEO or whatever aspects of like outside of the studio? Or is it going to be a mixture of both?
Bit of everything.
Okay.
Bit of everything. I feel like we need to do a podcast on tackling what people chat on LinkedIn.
Yes, that was something you mentioned.
Yeah.
We're interested in that.
Yeah.
I think this podcast is such an open book in that we've got our 3 and 3 and we've got our monthly vlog and we've got all of that, but this is really an opportunity for us to have like a more natural chat with people in the office. And we've done apprenticeships, we've done the 4-day working week, because that's been huge. We're on the Times today as well. But then like the opportunity now where we can get to know you and things that you've done in marketing, and then of course things like the LinkedIn rubbish, like the chat that happens, or like the scandals going on in the social media world. So yeah, this podcast definitely is going to allow you to probably be really creative with ideas that maybe not only you talk about, but you could tell other people to also kind of have an opinion on, or talk to them about what their opinion is on it. Because I've got a couple opinions of LinkedIn that I think I'd like to share.
Oh really? What people's absolute cardboard they chat.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole LinkedIn influencer world as well.
Self-branding makes me ill sometimes.
I saw one of your like topics that you wrote and I was like, oh my gosh, these are going to be so controversial. But if we need to, you know, like if that's something that we want to do and we want to talk about things, it is going to come out controversial in certain times because we're being authentic about what we think.
Yeah.
And that has happened in the 4-day working week when we've spoken about things and people have misconstrued it. So yeah. So I'm excited to see what you think and what ideas you come up with. And I think to close, what have you thought of your first week at Trio? What have you learned? You've been very, you know, like button your little laptop screen and been told to learn. But what have you thought in general of the experience?
No, I've really enjoyed my first week actually. I really like the team. I like the small office vibes. I think it's really good for a small business, especially marketing, to be able to bounce ideas off each other. And I think in a lot of bigger companies, it's hard. It's really hard.
You lose that, don't you?
Yeah, if you're working at a bigger agency where there's a lot of people, there's a lot of steps. And I'm a firm believer that the more steps and sign-offs there are, it kills creativity.
It does, it murders it.
In a small office dealing with smaller businesses and startups, I really think that's when ideas come to life.
It's true. I'm excited to see.
Maybe that's me chatting cardboard on LinkedIn.
Maybe you should make a post about that. Take a picture of the podcast room. No, I agree. I think that we started with smaller businesses and now we're growing towards the more like small to medium, and in some cases we are working with bigger companies. But it has been the case that like in an office you can turn around and you can go from a junior to a manager to a senior and you can get opinions. You've got the CEO sat in the corner that's there, like available to talk to. Your designers, you know, only one desk away. So I think that being able to do that and being able to talk about different things that aren't always related to exactly what you do. So like the web dev team, when they talk, you can listen to them. So you've got an opportunity to kind of hear about a lot of things and not just be pigeonholed into like, this is all you need to know. This is all you're going to do for the rest of your like career here. So yeah, I'm glad you've picked up on like the team.
Yeah.
And that we're a vibe. Because we think that, but then we're like, what if no one else thinks that? So good to know. But we've got our party this week, so on Thursday.
Yes.
So you're going to see us all kind of let our hair down and go a bit crazy. which I'm excited to see if that's something that you're going to do, if you're going to just be polite. And
Yeah, I'm still recovering from a wedding.
This is true. You did
Yeah.
have a wedding and it was in London, so I feel
Yeah.
like you might need more time than Thursday. But appreciate you having you on the podcast. If you have any questions for Ben or anything that we've spoken about, if you're on YouTube, just pop them in the comments. If you are listening on any of our podcasting platforms, there are links to our social media or our website where you can fill out a contact form or drop us a DM, or we put reels on as well, like little snippets of this, so comment underneath. But yeah, thanks for being on my podcast.
Pleasure.
Bye.